I killed my brother last Thanksgiving. Not with a knife or a gun, nothing so crude, but with a single, meticulously plated course that unraveled his empire bite by bloody bite. My family had uninvited me from their holiday table years ago, after I took the fall for father's sins, rotting in a cell while they toasted to my erasure.
Now,
In this body that wasn't mine, I turned their exclusion into my invitation list, 32 strangers feasting on the ruins of everything they held dear. It started in the rain-slicked streets of Seattle, back when I was still Aurora Hale, the golden girl of the Hale dynasty. Our family owned half the tech startups bleeding into the Puget Sound economy, AI firms that promised to revolutionize everything from healthcare to homeland security. Father, Reginald Hale, was the visionary, the silver-haired shark in tailored suits who schmoozed senators over single-malt scotch. Mother, Evelyn, played the ice queen philanthropist, her charity galas masking the dirt under our nails. And then there was Ethan, my older brother by 3 years, the heir apparent with his Ivy League polish and a smile that could sell sand in the Sahara. I was the fixer, the one who buried the bodies metaphorically, at first. It was my junior year at Stanford when Father called me into his mahogany-paneled office at Hale Innovations. The company was hemorrhaging cash from a botched algorithm that didn't just glitch, it leaked classified data to foreign servers. Billions at stake. And worse, national security flags waving like red capes at a bull. Aurora, he said, his voice gravel over silk. You're smart. You love this family. Handle it. I did. I rerouted the code, scrubbed the logs, and when the feds came knocking, I confessed. Not to the leak god. No, but to a lesser charge, insider trading on the company's rebound. It was a plea deal cooked up by our lawyers. A slap on the wrist that kept the real crime buried. I served 18 months in a federal women's facility upstate, the kind with yoga classes and therapy dogs to make you forget you're caged. My family visited once. Ethan in a cashmere sweater, dropping platitudes like crumbs. It's temporary. Rory. For the greater good. Father sent checks. Mother sent silence. When I got out, the locks on the family estate in Bellevue had been changed. Thanksgiving that year, I showed up anyway, rain dripping from my thrift store coat, clutching a bottle of grocery store Merlot. The driveway was clogged with Teslas and Beamers, laughter spilling from the French doors like champagne bubbles. I rang the bell, and it was Ethan who answered, his face twisting into that practiced sympathy. Aurora, this isn't a good time.
where?
Keeping things light this year. Behind him, the dining room glowed, turkey carved like a crown, crystal goblets clinking. Mother glanced over, then away, as if I were a smudge on the window. You're uninvited, he said finally, the words landing like a gut punch. It's better this way. Heal on your own. The door clicked shut, and I stood there, the Pacific drizzle turning to ice in my veins. That night, I slept in my beat-up Civic, parked at a rest stop overlooking the Sound, plotting not revenge yet, but survival. Jobs dried up with a felony on my record, friends ghosted like bad investments. I bounced between temp gigs, data entry in dingy cubicles, waiting tables at dive bars where the tips smelled like regret. The secret gnawed at me,
Though.
Father's leak wasn't an accident. I'd found the backdoor code buried in the archives, time-stamped from his private terminal. He'd sold the data to a Chinese consortium, pocketing millions to bail out a gambling habit Mother pretended didn't exist. Ethan knew, hell, he'd wired the transfers. I'd taken the fall to protect the Hale name, but protection's a one-way street. They erased me, rewrote the family ledger without my name. Rock bottom came in a Reno motel, the kind with neon flickering through threadbare curtains. I'd chased a lead on freelance coding, but it was a scam, leaving me broke and desperate. That's when I met Dr. Elias Crow, a disgraced neuroscientist nursing a whiskey in the motel's dive bar. He was all wiry intensity, eyes like shattered glass behind wire rims, ranting about neural transference, a black market prototype from his DARPA days, shelved after ethics boards called it Frankenstein-light. Swap consciousnesses, he slurred, sketching circuits on a napkin. Body to body, mind intact. For the right price. Or the right plea. I laughed at first, delusional drunk spinning sci-fi yarns. But Crow is legit. Or as legit as a man who'd lost his license for human trials could be. He'd tested it on terminal patients, swapping essences to let the dying live on in healthier shells. Success rate, 50-50. Failures, vegetative husks or worse. He needed a subject, someone young, resilient, to demo for a shadowy investor. In exchange, a new life, a new body, anonymity, and a cut of the payout, $2 million wired to an offshore account. I signed the waiver on motel stationery, my hand shaking less from fear than fury. The procedure happened in a converted warehouse on the outskirts of Vegas, under buzzing fluorescence and the hum of jury-rigged MRI coils. Crow strapped me to a gurney beside my counterpart, Victoria Langford, 42, heiress to a Silicon Valley fortune, riddled with pancreatic cancer. She was the investor's guinea pig, eager to ditch her failing flesh for mine, young and unscarred. Think of it as an upgrade, Crow muttered, injecting the neural cocktail. Electrodes bit into my skull. The world dissolved into static. A scream trapped in my throat. I woke up gasping. Not in Aurora's lean frame, but in Victoria's cavia. Older, laced with the faint ache of chemo scars. Mirrors showed a stranger, sharp cheekbones, auburn hair streaked gray, eyes the color of aged whiskey. Victoria's memories flickered at the edges. Yacht parties in Monaco, boardroom coups in Palo Alto, but they were echoes. Not mine. Mine were steel, the Hale betrayal, the prison bars, the slammed door. Crow handed me a new ID, a black Amex with no limit, and a warning. The swap's reversible, but only once. Choose wisely. Victoria's life was a gilded cage I turned into a war chest. I had liquidated assets before the procedure, funneling cash into trusts and shells. I liquidated more, selling off her vineyard in Napa, her pied terra in Manhattan, until I had enough to buy the old Hale estate at auction. Father had over-leveraged after my disappearance, and when the IRS came calling on that buried leak, the banks foreclosed. I snapped it up through a proxy, $6.2 million for 12 acres of manicured lawns, a Georgian mansion with 14 bedrooms, and a view of the Sound that mocked their fall. Renovations started immediately. I gutted the family wing, turning Father's study into a wine cellar stocked with cases of the scotch he'd favored. Ethan's old room became a gym, mirrors reflecting my new form as I trained, yoga at dawn, boxing gloves pounding shadows till my knuckles split. Mother's vanity, a media room screening documentaries on corporate fraud, looped on mute. I hired a staff, a chef from Le Bernardin, a sommelier with Michelin scars, groundskeepers who whispered about the ghost lady reclaiming her haunt. But revenge isn't built on bricks alone. I needed intel. the kind that sticks. That's where the private investigator came in, Lila Voss. Ex-FBI with a nose for digital dirt and a fee I paid in crypto. She dug up the Hales' new digs, a McMansion in Tacoma, mortgaged to the hilt, father consulting for startups that smelled like Ponzi. Ethan ran a boutique VC firm, schmoozing the elite while dodging SEC whispers. Mother chaired a women's shelter board, her smile photo-ready for society pages. And the secret? Voss uncovered the kicker. I'd been the fall guy not just for father's leak, but for Ethan's side hustle. While I rotted, he'd siphoned R&D funds into a crypto scam, laundering it through Hale shells. Father covered for him. As always, the prodigal son. Untouchable. Thanksgiving loomed like a storm front. The Hales' invite list leaked via Voss. 40 guests.
Black tie.
At a rented ballroom downtown. Theme: gratitude and growth. The invite read, with a P.S. Family only for the toast. I laughed. A hollow bark in Victoria's throat. Gratitude? I'd give them that. Served cold. My counter-invite went viral in Seattle's underbelly, forums for ex-cons. Whistleblower chats. Gig workers stiffed by Hale contractors. Feast at the old Hale estate, it promised. No strings, no judgments. Bring your stories. 32 RSVPs flooded in, a nurse who'd lost her pension to Ethan's scam, a coder blackballed after the leak, baristas and barflies with grudges old as the hills. I curated the menu personally. Turkey from heritage birds, heirloom stuffing laced with herbs from the estate's garden, pies baked with apples I'd picked myself. No poison. No theatrics, just truth. Plated like absolution. The night before, I stood in the foyer, the grandfather clock ticking like a heartbeat. Crow had called, his investor pulled out. The prototype scrapped. You're on your own. Yes. Langford. But I wasn't Victoria. Not anymore. Aurora's fire burned in this borrowed skin, hotter for the theft. I slipped into a sheath of emerald silk, the color of envy, and raised a glass to the empty chairs. Tomorrow, the table would groan under the weight of 32 souls. And the Hales? They'd crash the gate. Uninvited ghosts begging scraps. The fog rolled in off the sound like a shroud as the first guests arrived, their headlights slicing through the dusk like accusations. I'd position valets at the wrought iron gates, kids from the local community college, paid triple to whisper welcomes and slip Voss's dossiers into coat pockets, slim folders detailing Hale sins, printed on cream stock, for that touch of irony. Read later, I murmured to a wiry ex-Marine named Jax, his face scarred from a deployment gone wrong, courtesy of a Hale defense contract glitch. He nodded, eyes gleaming. This'll be biblical, ma'am. By 7. The drive hummed with Ubers and sedans, a motley caravan pulling up to the mansion's colonnade. No black ties here, just flannel shirts over tattoos. Sundresses on single moms. The quiet dignity of folks who'd been chewed up and spat out by the machine the Hales oiled. Lila Voss arrived fashionably late, her leather jacket slung over a pantsuit, carrying a bottle of mezcal that promised stories sharper than tequila. Your brother's flight just landed, she texted as she hugged me hello. Private jet.
Natch.
Father's driving the rental, Cadillac Escalade. Leased. I led the procession inside, the grand hall echoing with boots on marble. The dining room sprawled like a battlefield banquet, a 40-foot oak table groaning under silver tureens of gravy. Tureens of cranberry relish spiked with orange zest, and a centerpiece of pumpkins carved into grinning skulls, subtle. Not gory. just enough edge to spark whispers. 32 place settings. Crystal and china salvaged from the Hale attics. Each name card handwritten in my looping script. No head chair. I'd burned that one in the backyard fire pit last solstice. Ashes scattered to the wind. Toasts kicked off the chaos. Jax raised his glass first. Voice gravel from too many smokes. To the ones who built empires on our backs, and the witch who burned them down. Laughter rippled. Raw and real. As forks clinked. I circulated like a specter in silk, pouring wine from decanters etched with the Hale crest, a phoenix. Ironic now. Conversations bloomed. The nurse, Maria, recounted how Ethan's crypto tanked her 401k, leaving her kids on food stamps. The coder,
Raj.
sketched algorithms on a napkin, plotting hacks that could expose the leak's full trail. Voss cornered me by the butler's pantry, her breath warm with mezcal. You sure about the reveal? It's nuclear. Nuclear's the point, I replied. My voice Victoria's alto. Smooth as aged bourbon. But inside, Aurora seethed, the girl who'd coded her first app at 12, only to watch her brother plagiarize it for his Harvard thesis. The decisions I'd made tonight? Controversial as hell. Inviting these strangers wasn't charity. It was conscription. Arming them with my grudge. And the dossiers? Legal gray zone. Voss had skirted warrants with deep web scrapes. If the Hales lawyered up, heads would roll. Mine included. The main course hit like a thunderclap. Whole turkeys fanned on platters. Stuffing studded with chestnuts and sage from the estate's herb garden, the same garden where father had proposed to mother under a blood moon. Or so the family lore went. As slices were passed, the doors burst open. Not subtly, no. The Hales did nothing small. Ethan stormed in first, Burberry coat flapping like a cape, flanked by father in a tweed blazer that screamed old money denial. Mother trailed, pearls clutched like a lifeline, her face a mask of Botox surprise. Behind them, a tale of hangers-on, Ethan's trophy wife, blonde and bewildered, father's consultant, a redhead half his age. Aurora? Ethan bellowed, spotting me across the room. The name hung in the air. A grenade pin pulled. Guests froze. Forks midair. Eyes darting from the intruders to me. Father blinked. Recognition dawning slow. Like a glitch in his addled brain. Rory? What in God's name? MS. Langford. I corrected. Voice slicing the tension like a carving knife. Victoria Langford. To be precise. Welcome to my home, though I don't recall extending the invitation. The room exhaled. A collective hiss. As Jax's hand twitched toward his hip, where a concealed carry permit hid regrets. Mother's eyes narrowed, scanning the table, the faces, the dossiers peeking from pockets. This is the Hale estate. Our estate. Security, call them. But the staff, my staff, stood impassive, the chef emerging from the kitchen with a fresh loaf of sourdough. Steam rising like a peace offering. Ethan advanced, face purpling under the chandelier's glow. What the hell is this? Some squatter's revenge porn? You bought it? With what panhandling change? Laughter erupted then, jagged and unfiltered, from Maria's corner. Panhandling? Try the blood money you stole from folks like us. She waved her folder, pages fluttering like indictments. Father sagged against the doorframe, muttering, "Impossible." The auction was sealed. Voss stepped forward, all predator grace. Not sealed enough. Reggie. Aurora here's got friends in low places and high ledgers. The confrontation devolved into a tableau straight out of a Coen brothers fever dream. Ethan lunging for a dossier. Raj blocking him with a chair, Mother hissing at me. You are dead to us.
Girl.
Dead. I met her gaze. Unflinching. The weight of Victoria's body grounding Aurora's rage. Dead? You buried me alive. Evelyn. That plea deal? It was your script. Ethan's crypto? Your blind eye. Guests murmured assent. Voices overlapping like a jury's verdict, stories spilling. Accusations flying. Father tried bluster, invoking lawyers and liens, but the room's energy had shifted, a tide turning against the Hale's tide. I raised my glass then, the ruby Cabernet catching firelight. A toast, I called, and the room quieted, even the interlopers stilled. To betrayals that forge us. To secrets unearthed like potatoes from the dirt. And to Thanksgivings reclaimed not with family, but with the forgotten. Clinks echoed, defiant, as Ethan snarled, You're insane. This ends now. But it didn't. Not yet. As dessert carts wheeled out, pumpkin tarts dusted with cinnamon, apple crisps bubbling under streusel, the real feast began, Voss projecting ledgers onto the far wall. Hacked feeds from Ethan servers flickering like ghosts. Father crumpled into a chair, uninvited, face ashen. Rory, please. We can talk. Family, family? I echoed, leaning close, my breath ghosting his ear. You taught me family means taking the hit. So I did. Now watch me return it. The twist of the knife wasn't in the words. It was in the eyes of 32 witnesses. Their nods sealing the Hale's coffin. Ethan bolted for the door, phone in hand, dialing his fixer. Mother followed, heels clicking recriminations. But Father lingered, whispering as I passed. You don't know the half.
Girl.
The leak? It saved us all. His words lodged like a bone in my throat, a hint of deeper rot. A secret within the secret. As the guests cheered, devouring pie with the gusto of the vindicated, I slipped to the balcony, fog curling around my ankles. The sound churn below, black and endless. Crow's voice echoed in memory. Choose wisely. Had I? Or was this body? This life? Just another cage? The night stretched, tense as a wire. The Hale's car engines rumbling retreat. But revenge, I learned, hungers for more. Dawn broke gray over the estate. The kind of Pacific Northwest light that leaches color from the world, leaving only regrets in high definition. The guests had trickled out past midnight. Bellies full, pockets heavier with my parting gifts, checks from Victoria's war chest. Enough to dent debts or fund fresh starts. Jax lingered last, saluting with a fist to his chest. You gave us a battlefield.
Ma'am.
We'll finish the war. Voss crashed in a guest suite, snoring through her hangover, her laptop still humming with encrypted files. I hadn't slept. Father's parting whisper looped in my skull. The leak saved us all. Saved from what? The dossiers painted a tidy villainy, greed, cover-ups, a dynasty teetering on fraud. But Hale men didn't whisper half-truths without a hook. By noon, with coffee brewing strong as resolve, I cornered Voss in the sunroom, bay windows framing the sound's chop. Dig deeper on the leak. Original source code. Timestamps, everything pre-Aurora. She arched a brow over her aviators. You're chasing ghosts,
Vic.
or whoever you are today. But she tapped keys, her rig pinging dark pools of data. Hours blurred. Takeout pho in styrofoam. The chef's day off. Rain pattering like impatient fingers. Then Voss froze. Screen glowing accusatory. Holy shit. Reggie didn't sell the data. He bought it back. The twist hit like a rogue wave. The leak wasn't outbound to China. It was inbound, a cyber espionage probe from a Russian collective, targeting Hale's AI for military sims. Father discovered it mid-gamble spiral. Leveraged his Vegas markers to broker a shadow deal. Pay the hackers to plant the breach. Then expose it himself, claiming heroism to the feds. Billions in restitution flowed, grants, contracts, a presidential pat on the back. Ethan handled the laundering, siphoning cuts into crypto. And me, the insider trading plea was camouflage, ensuring no one dug too deep. I'd borne the sin not for greed, but for patriotism's twisted badge, a fall guy in a flag-draped farce. Why me? I demanded, voice cracking Victoria's polish. Voss shrugged.
Grim.
You were clean. The good daughter.
Plus.
Reggie always said you coded like a demon. Irony's a bitch. Fury boiled. Not at the lie, but the scale. My cage bought their salvation. A family's fortress built on my bones. The Hales weren't just betrayers. They were architects of a deeper treason. The kind that makes headlines and heroes. Controversial? Hell. It was radioactive. Expose it. And I torched not just them, but the military-industrial web they'd spun. Walk away. And the secret festered. Aurora's ghost forever gagged. I chose the wire. Not mercy. Never that, but the debatable cut. Truth as scalpel. Not sledgehammer. That evening, as sleet lashed the windows, I drove the Escalade, Father's rental, borrowed from the gate logs, downtown to the Hales McMansion. No entourage, just me. In jeans and a parka over silk. A USB drive burning in my pocket like contraband. The door opened to Ethan's scowl. Wife peeking from the kitchen. Microwave humming leftovers. You got balls. I'll give you that, he sneered, but stepped aside. Curiosity's a family curse. The living room reeked of stale turkey and denial. Father in his armchair. Scotch sweating on the side table. Mother knitting furiously. Needles clicking judgment. Rory, father sighed.
Sit.
Let's end this farce. I didn't. I plugged the drive into their smart TV. Voss's montage blooming. Code trails. Wire transfers. Hacked Kremlin chats time-stamped to father's Vegas alibi. Their faces drained. Ethan's to putty. Mother's to porcelain crack. You think this absolves you? Ethan spat, lunging for the remote. I sidestepped. Voice steel. Absolves?
No.
It indicts. You saved the empire by selling your soul and mine. Father raised a hand, trembling. It was for America.
Rory.
The Russians had our playbook. I fixed it. Hero again. The silver fox. But his eyes darted to the sideboard, where a framed photo of us kids grinned innocent. The climax crested then, not in shouts, but silence's blade. Fixed it by framing your daughter? By uninviting me from the table that fed your lies? I circled, ghosts of Thanksgivings past trailing. I hosted 32 last night. Strangers who knew your sins better than blood. Mother whimpered. We protected you.
Lies.
All lace and venom. Ethan cracked first, lunging not for the TV, but me, hands clawing for the drive. A brother's betrayal distilled. I twisted. Victoria's body lithe from training, knee driving into his gut. He wheezed. collapsing amid throw pillows. Father surged up, but age betrayed him. He stumbled, clutching his chest, face blooming purple. Reggie, Mother shrieked, dialing 911 with frantic thumbs. Sirens wailed distant as I knelt by Father, his breath ragged. The reversal, he gasped. Crow, tell me you didn't. Confusion flickered. How did he know? Then the hook sank, the napkin sketch in Reno, glimpsed in a tabloid profile Voss had missed. Father had funded Crow's black market tinkering years back, a hedge against his own mortality. The swap? No accident. He'd pulled strings, ensuring Victoria's upgrade landed me in a shell he could track.
Control.
You were always the weak link, he wheezed.
Now.
Fix it again. Rage crusted. But so did pity, a debatable mercy. I pressed the drive into his palm. Leak it yourself, old man. Play hero one last time. As paramedics burst in, strapping him to a gurney, I slipped out, rain washing my face clean. Ethan groaned curses. Mother sobbed into pearls. The truth reversed, not just betrayal, but a puppetry I'd danced unwitting. Back at the estate, Voss waited with coffee and a crooked grin. You let him live? Worse, I said. I let him confess. The feds would come, headlines screaming, Hail Patriarch exposes cyber plot, with footnotes on the Fall Guy daughter. Redeemed in scandal's afterglow. Ethan's firm? Crumbled. Mother's shelters? Scrutinized. And me? Victoria's fortune funded a new life, perhaps the reversal with Crow. Reclaiming Aurora's skin. Or not. The body felt earned now. Scars and all. Thanksgiving's echo lingered. 32 fed. A family starved. Happy ending? Tragic farce? You debate it over pie.
Me?
I raised a glass to the sound, fog lifting to stars. Revenge tasted bittersweet, like overcooked turkey, best savored cold.